I'm Whitney.
I'm Mindy.
And I'm Deb.
We're three best friends who love nerdy things.
Well, some people think we're nerdy, but we think we're pretty awesome.
This is our nerdiest thing.
Hello, fellow nerds, and welcome to our nerdiest thing. Today, we are doing our first ever, our nerdiest Ask Me Anything. Ask us anything.
I'm so excited about
I know, I'm really excited
Our
about it too.
AMA for the cool kids.
We got, oh yeah, I'm not a cool kid, so I say the whole thing. But
you can ask us anything, Squirt.
yeah, we got some really fun questions, so I'm excited about that. Make sure you listen all the way through. We have an interview with author Nelle Nikole at the end. She'll be at Imaginarium this summer.
She's so fun.
She is really fun. She was nice to talk to. So before we get into anything else, Deb, will you please share our nerdy news?
I will, but I do want to plug our Instagram channel.
Oh, yeah.
The way that you could have joined our AMA was in our Instagram channel or our stories. So you need to follow us, because if you're not, you're missing out on a lot of fun.
Yeah, we do have a great time.
It's Instagram.com/our nerdiest thing.
Yeah.
At our nerdiest thing. Everywhere. Everywhere. Okay, back to nerdy news. We have some amazing books coming out this week, just like we do every week.
Noise.
Whitney's my hype man. She's on the back of the stage going,
Yeah, girl.
Wow, we are white. Speaking of white girls, this book is about some rich white girls. Okay, so there's a really cool book this week coming out called The Thrashers by Julie Soto. And the synopsis of this reminds me a lot of the movie Jawbreaker, which I know you've seen, Mindy.
That movie.
But it's about a popular girl who ends up dying, and a non-elite is invited to join the friend group to replace her. So if you've not seen Jawbreaker and you really like campy murder, go give it a watch. You cannot take this movie seriously.
No.
Yeah.
And even though like it's not compared to this, that's kind of what it reminds me
I was
of.
going to say that storyline is kind of exactly it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm pretty excited about this because I think it'll be a fun read. And a few years ago on Book Talk, the We Both Die at the End book became huge. So it actually was one of those books that had been published for like 5 years, and then it got some traction on Bookstagram and Book Talk, and everybody started reading it. So there is a third book coming out called The Survivor Wants to Die at the End. It's by Adam Silvera. And if you're not familiar with the series, it's about an app that alerts you on the day that you're going to die. And the point is to alert people so that they can live their best final day. So the author is known for telling you what's going to happen in the title. That's like what he does.
It is a spoiler.
Yeah. Right. So it sounds like we have a survivor who finally makes it in these books, because in the first book, they both die at the end. They do both die at the
I
end.
wonder if it's like maybe they had somebody die, and so they were the survivor of it, and they wished that they died with the person.
Like a grief.
Yeah, I bet.
story.
Yeah, because a lot of times there is like a love story in there.
Yeah.
I haven't read the second book. The first one's a queer love story with two guys that are like from different sides of the world, and like they meet on their death day and they kind of fall in love. It's a really beautiful story.
Great story.
Yeah. So shifting gears a little bit, there's a new book by Frederick Bachman coming out called My Friends, and I don't read him. Mindy and the Sexual Butler do.
Yes.
I know a lot of people love his book, so I just wanted to make sure it was on our list this week. This novel is about an artist who is determined to find out the story of these three enigmatic characters that are sitting on a pier in a world-famous painting. So they're trying to figure out like who these people are, what their story are.
Very Frederick Bachman.
Yeah, that's cool.
That sounds like something I'm never going to read. We also have a new book by Ashley Flowers coming out called The Missing Half. And if Ashley Flowers sounds familiar to you, it's probably because you've heard of her from Crime Junkie. She also has a previous novel, but I cannot remember what it's called.
All Good People Here.
All Good People Here. We read it for our book club. So she's written a book about two women that are haunted by their sister's unsolved disappearances. They band together to find justice for their families, and they both only have one clue, and it's that their sisters disappeared within 2 weeks of each other in the same exact way. So they come together to try to figure that out, which sounds like a Crime Junkie episode.
Right, yeah.
So that's probably going to be pretty good. So I do have some book to screen news, and that is that Carrie from Stephen King has been picked up by Mike Flanagan and Amazon Studios.
I'm so excited.
So this is a book by Stephen King. It came out in the 70s. If you've never watched Carrie, you really need to go watch it. It like set the pace for horror movies and like gore and all that. Such a good movie. There are some triggering like religious things in there and abuse. So just be, warned
There's some
about
gory deaths too.
Yeah, there surely are. So we have covered 2 Mike Flanagan shows on this podcast. So I foresee Carrie being in the future.
Be prepared.
Yeah. So one thing I will say, if you've ever read the actual book Carrie by Stephen King, it does interview her neighbors and stuff, and they all talk about her childhood and things that they noticed. And so I'm kind of hoping the show is going to be like that.
Yeah.
I bet he will.
Tends to stick pretty true to that. Well, that's
source.
not true, because Haunting of Hill House, that book is nothing like what the show is like. So yeah, I don't know. I think it'll be really cool though. Between him and Stephen King, I think we're going to see something real fucking creepy is what we're going to see.
It's going to be good.
Yeah. That's it for
That's
nerdy
exciting.
news. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
Pumped for that. Because a couple weeks ago, we were like, where's this next show?
Yeah. Not Netflix, I'm assuming. If it's Amazon
it's
Productions,
Amazon.
that's interesting.
And here's the thing. Amazon, have you noticed they get their babies and they keep them?
Yeah.
And they must really treat them well and pay them well, because they don't leave.
They stay.
Yep.
Yeah. That's true.
Well, nothing against Netflix, but
I'm interested to see how that pans out.
we'll talk about it again in 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, whenever it actually happens.
It just got picked up. So
Well, that brings us to the nerdy and dirty, and let's talk about what we're reading. Mindy, what are you reading right now?
Well, I took a page from your book, and I decided that I thought I would want to read something in the pickleverse. So actually,
what?
The pickles?
Yeah. So one of the prompts for this month's mini challenge in my challenge prompts was a book that makes you roll your eyes. And I'm like, first of all, what? I'm not going to read something that I'm going to roll my eyes at. But since Whitney showed me Salty Pickle, and then you look at
I didn't show you Salty Pickle. I beg your pardon.
And for the record,
cover
if you didn't listen to our Shakespeare episode, we do talk about salty pickles, just FYI, and you're going to have to go figure out what we mean by that thing.
This was Whitney's read on the last episode, was Salty Pickle. But anyway, so I looked at these Pickleverse books, and
there's a lot of them.
And so, the covers definitely make me roll my eyes, and the names. And so, but I wanted to try, because Whitney said that they were worth trying. So these books are fun.
I think she said not to expect a lot, but they were fun.
So they're by J.J. Wright, and it's this one. The one I read is Big Pickle. And it's the first
I love that.
book in the Pickleverse.
Oh, it introduces the Pickleverse.
You don't start with a small pickle.
No, Lord,
absolutely
no.
not. So I actually also found myself enjoying this book quite a lot. Again, you go in with kind of lower expectations, right? But this one's a mistaken identity. The boss poses as an employee and falls in love with his coworker, of course, but he can't tell her who he really is. But it's also so funny. She just is a really hilarious writer.
She is funny.
What if this is what gets me out of my reading slump?
It could be.
Oh, that would be
I would
hilarious.
read Big Pickle over Salty Pickle, though. I would go with her read.
I think probably Big Pickle's a little bit crazier out of the box than this is. This is very typical,
like rom-com-y
stuff. But just to entice you for the Big Pickle,
say less,
because it was just so funny. One of my favorite quotes is from the main female character. These guys own this deli, so she's working in one of these delis, and they get these pickles that they're just not up to deli standards. And she says, I've seen bigger pickles on a dollar store party tray, and sometimes unsolicited in my DMs. I mean, there are all kinds of those gems.
I want to point out again, because there are some men that listen to our podcast, we don't want to see your dick without asking permission. And when you ask us if we want to see it, we're still probably going to say no. I know you like it. We don't want to see it. Just put it in us.
I'm glad you liked the Pickleverse, Mindy. That makes me happy.
It's
fun.
Pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, it's silly, and you just have to know it's silly going into it. But they're fun. They're fun reads. It makes me want to read more.
Well written. I'm telling you.
Dare I say I might go read more Pickleverse?
When I ask you what your top 5 books are at the end of the year,
they're all from the Pickleverse.
What if they get really deep and have social justice in them?
Who knows? Maybe
I
they
hope
do.
the pickle gets deep.
I did in the one I read.
Did in mine too.
Oh, well, thank you so much for sharing that, Mindy. I'm excited
Thank you for
that
sharing the Pickleverse with me.
I'm glad I inspired you. Well, I read a book by Megan Quinn, So This Is War. And this wasn't my favorite Megan Quinn book that I've read, but I still really enjoyed it. It's a hockey romance where you have a star player and the daughter of the coach. And the daughter coach's daughter is a free spirit. She wants to be an artist instead of following her dad's plan for her life, which is to go into business. So her dad tells his star player, hire my daughter as your new assistant and make her life hell, so she won't want to live on her own and will go back to business school like I want her to.
I kind of like that premise.
It's a fun premise, yeah. And so, unfortunately for the coach, he does not realize that these two people have met before and like almost did it and got interrupted. And so they are like super hot and heavy for each other. And now they are like being forced to spend all this time together.
Damn.
But the dad is like keeping tabs on both of them. And
oh no, Dad, don't make me work with him.
Oh no. It's very like forbidden romance. Yeah. It's very forced proximity. It's like not a one night stand, but an almost one night stand turned into more. And it is really, really funny. There's a lot of just silliness of like the coach is telling the player, like, specifically, I want you to have her do this, like these horrible, like, personal assistant jobs. And she realizes what's happening. And she's like, well, I know he like wants my body. So I'll just start like not wearing a bra around the house and wear like super low cut shirt. And it's really, really funny. But I enjoyed it a lot. It was a very fun read. So
she does.
Recommend.
She writes a lot of like quirky, weird situations.
And her humor is very good.
It is.
It was fun. I enjoyed it a lot. What about you, Deb? What are you reading?
So I'm still trying to get out of my slump with mafia romance. So I read another one of those.
Doesn't sound like
I was going to say.
Here's the thing. It was a good book, but it still did not get me out of my slump. It's just like, I'm just not excited right now. Yeah. So this book was Nero by S.J. Tilley. I still gave it 4 stars. It's just a cozy, dark mafia book. You know, your typical man meets girl and becomes obsessed with girl, bloodshed, and they just like do it all the time. One of those. I'm actually pumped because I'm going to meet S.J. Tilley at an upcoming signing with Liz Tom Ford. It's being organized by our local indie romance bookstore, Novel Romance.
She is so sweet and funny.
S.J. Tilley?
Yes.
Oh, really?
Yes.
You know what? I love all these like really dark romance authors because they look like they like live on the prairie. Yeah. And like Sierra Simone wears her hair in little braids and wears little A-line skirts all the time, and she looks like she works in a fucking library. Yeah. I love it.
Most of these authors that write kind of darker stuff have the exact opposite personality. It's so funny to me.
For sure. But I mean, and I liked it, but nothing still has really gotten me out of my slump, unfortunately.
What do you think? What was the last thing you read that you loved?
Empire of the Vampire, and I think that's part of the problem because it was like so epic. Like it was an epic fantasy, and it was so good and so much world building. Like nothing is comparing to that. But I read that in January.
Yeah, I know. You've been really struggling with this.
Yeah, I have. And like my audiobook listens are like way down. Like I cannot. I'm really having a hard time.
I've been feeling slumpy as well. And I've been wondering, like, should I keep trying new things or should I go back to one of the rereads that I really love?
Well, the audio I have been able to get through, which I'll tell you in a minute. Like it's been listens that I've already listened to. Yeah. Right? Because I know it's going to be good. I know what to expect. I can listen to it in the background, you know, that kind of stuff. So
well, maybe that'll help. Are you watching anything fun?
I am. I watched the Barbie movie again.
Yay.
I love that movie. And I cried again. And I need the Barbies in this movie to come to the real world and help us. Please come fix everything, Barbies. But no, it still is so good. It's so poignant. Yep. And Ryan Gosling is so fucking funny.
He is so funny
in that movie. I mean, he just is. And it's so awesomely uncomfortable. That's what I love about it.
Because he's so committed. You have to be committed to that character.
Well,
100%.
If that movie made you mad because of what they did to Ryan Gosling, that's been what most movies are for women, right? Like you're just a side piece and you don't really matter to the plot. I mean, he does matter to this plot, but it's just such a good movie. And so it was over spring break, no one was here, and I was like, I just want to watch a movie, and that like popped up on the screen, and I was like, this is it. This is it. So it was good. I loved it. And I cried a lot.
My mom told me she finally watched the Barbie movie and she was like, I mean, it was fine. And I was like, okay.
I think it resonates better with people from our generation, not necessarily our mothers.
I know. I was like, Mom, you're making me want to make a PowerPoint presentation and like sit you down and discuss things.
These are also the moms that like, and this is nothing against our mothers in particular. I'm saying the culture was we were all latchkey kids. Like we made our own meals. And so like I think that movie for a lot of that generation, they're like, well, yeah, that's what you do. You just get shit done.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, and I know
Yeah.
for me, my mom didn't really watch movies at all, so she doesn't care. I mean,
Right. Yeah.
she likes old movie, like old black and white movies and Shirley Temple movies.
Like Nosferatu.
Exactly.
That's exactly. She watches
My kids
that on
talk
repeat.
about me. They'll be like, "Yeah, she loves old movies." Interview with the Vampire, Chucky. Yeah.
Mindy, what are you watching?
I'm not watching this yet, but it's been recommended to me like at least 3 different times by 3 different people. It's called The Residence. It
It has what's his face from Gilmore Girls in it.
Yeah.
Oh, it does? I don't even know who's in it. It's like I said,
Logan.
people are like, you have to watch this movie. And so I see it being a summer watch for me.
It's a show, isn't it?
Yeah,
Not
it's
movie?
a series.
Okay.
But it's from the perspective of the workers that reside at the White House. And it's actually like somebody gets killed. And so it's actually like a cozy...
different show.
It's
Oh,
a
got
cozy mystery for fans of like Knives Out. It's got a
Yeah.
very Knives Out vibe to
no,
it.
I'm thinking of The Resident,
Which is a medical drama.
medical drama that has Logan from Gilmore Girls. And it's
Yeah,
Logan,
that's-
right? That's his
it
name.
is, yeah.
Like the
I mean, not his
character
real
I
name, but the
don't
character
really
name.
like.
Yeah.
He's
This
always
is The Residence, and it's on...
Got it.
It's Netflix.
Okay.
We watched Running Point, which is the new Kate Hudson series on
There's
Netflix.
a new Kate Hudson series?
Yeah, it's really funny. We enjoyed it a lot. So it's loosely based on a real life person, the real life president of the LA Lakers, which I didn't realize this was...
Is it a man or a woman?
As a woman.
Oh.
Loosely based off of this real person's life. So Kate Hudson is the daughter in an NBA power family. Her dad was an owner of this like fake NBA team, and her father dies. Her older brother becomes the president, but then her older brother has to go to rehab.
The president of the Lakers.
of this
Okay,
of the
okay.
team. Yeah, it's not the Lakers in the show, but it's an equivalent. Like it's a fake team name or whatever. But yeah, so the brother goes to rehab and she becomes the president and has 2 other brothers that work for the company, 2 other brothers that work for the team. Like one is a CFO and the other one is like I don't know, like a coach or something. It's really, really funny. It's very raunchy, but it still has kind of a wholesome family vibe to it because it's all a family working together.
Yeah.
And it's all very much like we're in this together because we're family, you know. It's really fun. It's very different from the types of shows that I usually watch, which are
I haven't heard of
usually
that one.
it's like Parks and Rec and Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
And
So-
true crime.
And true crime, yeah. But it was fun. I had a good time with it, and I enjoy Kate Hudson. So
Before
hooray.
we move on, I'm going to open my
Open
drink.
your can,
There
yeah.
we go. Got it. I was trying to do it so quietly, and you kept looking at me like, "Don't interrupt me."
Well, I thought it was you going. Shh. I didn't know it was a can making the noise. I thought
shush
you were.
you. Well, I might.
I
But
thought you were having some kind of episode.
my hysteria's acting
Yeah,
up.
I was just checking on you. So let's go into what we're listening to. So Deb, tell us about what you're listening
Yeah,
to.
so I did re-listen to Soul of Ash and Blood by Jennifer L. Armentrout. It's the book that's told from Castiel's point of view from Blood and Ash.
I thought you were going to say A Kingdom of Flesh and Fire. So I was in the right
because I
series.
listened to that like a month ago when the slump started. So we just found out that book 5 in the Poppy and Cass part of the series has been delayed to September.
I know,
It
it
hasn't
sucks.
even officially been announced yet because they talked about it at a Polycon.
Yeah.
But it also means that we get one more book with my 2 favorite characters. Did you know that? It's because there's another book coming.
Another
I did
Poppy
not-
and Cass book?
Yes.
Oh, I
Yeah.
did not know that.
It will come out next year. Now, I really just hope that the ending isn't stretched out too much because in the Flesh and Fire series, I felt like that second to last book was really good, but so much of it was recovered in the last book.
Yeah.
And so I'm really just hoping that and she's really good about this. She wants to get it right.
So it was going to be a primal blood of blood and bone, and now that is going to be 2 books.
Yes.
basically.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
I missed that part of the announcement.
I missed that too.
So
Cool.
I really want this and Supernatural to like just go on forever. I'm not ready for the series to be over. I will be so sad like I was with Supernatural. I still have never rewatched the Supernatural ending because it tore me up so
I
bad.
haven't rewatched that.
That's the only
final
episode of that
either.
show I've not watched 5 million times.
Yeah,
Like I
haven't watched it
refuse to see Jared's old man wig ever again.
That is very,
Oh gosh.
very
I'm like,
terrifying.
you guys, you do
the scariest thing in that whole series.
I'm like, you did everything right. Why did you fuck that up so bad?
Yeah, it was not a great. Well, it was, I think, rushed and weird because it was still during like COVID stuff.
Right.
So maybe they were limited with
They
their
couldn't have
props and
fit
things.
the wig cap a little bit better.
Yeah.
They couldn't have sprayed some gray hairspray in his
They had
normal hair.
They were spraying from 6 feet apart. So
That's not funny for the record, but wah wah.
we laugh so we don't scream into the void.
Yeah. So yeah, there will be 2 more Cass and Poppy books,
And then one more
and Millie
and Malik.
Malik. Yeah. So
Malik.
3 more books. Malek. Malek is the god. Malik is the brother.
Malik. I'm like, it's Malik
God,
in my
that's
head, but
really
I know
confusing.
that's not. They're too close together.
And you know what? We have learned from narrators and listening to JLA talk that all of those things are all pronounced differently from different
Yeah.
people.
Apparently, yeah.
So we're talking about the brother.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mindy, what are you listening to?
I'm really just kind of like digging into my liked songs on Spotify right now. Just putting on a playlist, doing some housework.
Yeah.
I don't have anything specific. You know, I like a very weird, eclectic mix of music. So a lot of Jukebox the Ghost, a lot of Air Traffic Controller. Yeah.
Air traffic controller.
That was my listening to like a few weeks ago.
Yeah. Well, good. I have been listening to something different. So I started listening to the audiobook that was recommended to me by our producer a few episodes back when we talked about nonfiction.
Wait.
Yeah, don't even start.
No. I tell you about shit almost every day, and you're like, but you know what? I'm going to listen to your husband.
Because I just get overwhelmed.
You read the stuff or listen to the stuff I tell you about 10 times. That's how you know where to put it in the queue. So Empire of the Vampire.
The stuff that you listen to
Right.
10 times.
No, I'm telling you, like, if I tell you 10 times to listen to it,
I
should move it up
did
in
not
the queue.
understand the words that were...
So, listen. Listen, you need to read the Draco Malfoy and the Mortifying
I know.
Ordeal of Being in Love.
It's on my list.
My sister-in-law, I was with her yesterday, and she's like, I've reread it 2 more times because it's so fucking good because he's such a simp and it's rom-com-y.
I have that downloaded, but I couldn't
Oh,
get
do
it to
ya?
send to my Kindle, and so I have to remember to read it on my actual phone. Which
You can download it as a PDF and then send it.
I tried, and it wouldn't.
I help you.
Yeah, it wouldn't.
Okay,
it
now
wouldn't
tell
do.
us what my husband recommended.
I started listening to this nonfiction book called Stiff, which sounds like it'd be about boners, but it's not.
You sure about that?
So this is Stiff by Mary Roach, which is about corpses. And I really enjoy it, but I have to keep taking breaks in between chapters because it makes me feel queasy. Because
why?
It's just like you were talking a couple of weeks ago
About stitches. Yeah.
Yes. And you're like, I don't know why I can handle all these other things, but listening about stitches made me feel queasy. I don't know what it is about talking about dead bodies, but it's like she's too good of a writer and goes into too much detail, and I'm like, ugh.
Like you're picturing it too much.
Yeah. And so I keep having to take breaks because I listen basically in the car. And so I can't be like woozy while I'm driving. You know what I mean? And so I'm really enjoying it, but I'm like, I think I'm going to have to like sit in my room and listen to this book without doing anything to be able to listen to it so that I can get woozy without feeling like I'm going to crash my car, you know? And I am going to jump ahead to my nerdiest thing of the week because it's related to this book.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
So when he was recommending this book in our episode about nonfiction, he was like, you know Mary Roach? And in my head, I was like, I do know Mary Roach. Why do I know that name? And it wasn't until after I got back home that night, I texted this to you guys. There is a really like infamous American Idol audition, and the girl's name was Mary Roach.
Oh, God.
And so in my head, I was thinking, and she goes like, but if I make it to Hollywood, I'm going to change my name to Mary Gilbo because it has more star quality. And that's who I thought he was talking about,
And
writing
that's
this
the
book
difference
about
between
corpses.
you and my husband?
Well, that's who I thought he was talking about. And I was like, there's no way that girl wrote a book. And it's like, is she a journalist now? And so I Googled it and I was like, yeah, no, that's a completely different person. So I sent everybody the YouTube audition video. I was like, this is who I thought we were talking about.
It's special.
It is special. It's so funny. I enjoy that so much. But anyway, that just made me laugh.
That's
so
hilarious.
That was my nerdiest thing of the week. And that was all of our nerdy and dirty. So that brings us to our nerdiest topic, which is an AMA, or for you oldies like me, ask me anything. We asked our channel participants on Instagram and put
Hold on, Instagram.com/our nerdiest thing. There you go.
At our nerdiest thing. And we put it in our stories as well. And I forgot to ask anybody if we could share their names with their questions.
Whoops.
So these are all anonymous from our nerdiest listeners. So thank you so much.
Respect of our channel
Yeah,
and our friends.
we're not sure if you want to be attached to these questions or not. But we got a lot of really great questions, and I'm excited about it. So first up, if you could enter one fantasy world as an extra, which would it be and why?
Okay,
I
I
like this
struggled
question.
with this question because I don't think I would survive in very many of the books I read. Having said that, I think the safest place for me would be in the Summer Court in the ACOTAR series.
Oh.
It's warm and the court seems really fun. My other top picks would have been Outlander, except I'd get burned at the stake for witchcraft. From Blood and Ash, except I'd be jealous of Poppy and she would kick my ass. Or Empire of the Vampire, but the entire world lives in darkness and the vampires keep humans as blood slaves. So I think my safest place is ACOTAR.
Yeah.
Those are the lands I'd like to visit just to see them for real.
Yeah.
But I would not live
She
beyond
wants to
a day.
vacation there, but not live there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to go and suture up some wounds with Claire and learn about herbs. But I think I would only survive.
I would
in
get
the Summer
imprisoned
Court.
in Outlander.
Yeah, I would be burned immediately.
Yeah, I thought as a human, my best bet would be the bonds that tie, because I could just go to the giftless human population and try to stay away from the wastelands.
You're like, I could take 5 dicks.
Well, probably not those, but as a human, I would choose bonds that tie, so I could just go with the human giftless people. But if I could be any type of fae or creature, whatever, I would go to Throne of Glass, because I feel like Elite and I would be like BFFs.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like we'd get along really
She
well.
would be fun to hang.
And then I could
Yeah,
just
but
like
would you be
stare at
able?
Lorcan.
Well, I'm like, but could you put up with his shitty attitude? I'd tell him to shut the fuck up, and then I'd get burned at the stake again.
I would totally put up with his attitude. I would just look at him and be like, What about you, Mindy?
I honestly didn't even think about like whether or not I would survive in this world, and I definitely would not. But I'm wondering what it says about me now. So I think it would be really interesting to be in Emily Rath's Tuonela duet world, which is North is the Night. It's her new fantasy book.
Oh, yeah.
And the females are just badass. The villains are crazy dark. It feels like somewhere a former goth girl like me would fit nicely. It's so like, but it's also like, it's cold. It's like, Norse mythology kind of related. So everything's really cold, which I like the cold. I wouldn't last in the Summer Court. I'd be like sweating off my ass off.
Where's my neck fan?
Oh, babe, you don't need neck fans because it's magic. You just like when you get hot.
True.
Yeah.
Side note, I bought a fan that clips on the back of your pants now. And it blows up the back of your shirt.
And our nerdiest thing subgenre.
Yeah.
So, yes. But, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what that says about me. I definitely wouldn't survive, like, killing my own food. And, like, she's definitely, like, out in the woods. And
Well, I think, what does it say about me and Deb that we thought about where we would survive as opposed to like where would we want to go?
Right,
You know what I
right.
mean?
Yeah.
so,
I think we've all
Here's the
revealed
thing,
a little
though.
bit about
I don't really
ourselves.
want to go to 18th century Scotland, right? I don't really want to go to a place where vampires rule the world and I may not get electricity, right? I don't really want to go there. I just want to meet the characters.
Yeah, I need a toilet that flushes.
Samesies.
So
No chamber pots for
So
this
bonds
lady.
that tie it is. So next question, how do you decide what authors you would like to interview? I think there are really two answers to this question, because one of the ways that we interview authors is through the events that we partner with.
Right.
So like Imaginarium.
that's what I kind of said at first, that we're trying to promote them for a signing that we're attending.
That's part of the partnerships that we have. But we have interviewed authors that one of us have read and really, really enjoyed and just reached out and said, hey, we loved your book. Can we interview you?
100%.
And sometimes they say yes, and sometimes they
That's
ghost
how
us.
we did our, well, they don't very often though,
That's
to be
true.
honest.
Yeah, that's true.
Which we learned our very first year doing interviews for Imaginarium, because I was like, email me these 23 people and 10 will say yes. And I think 22 people said yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was a
insane.
lot.
It was a lot, and we were very tired at the end. But I will say,
But worth it.
that's how we got our first interview, because we got a arc from Elle Mitchell, and Whitney read it, and then we were like, we've got to talk to her.
Yeah.
And then and we've like left her ever since. But that's how we
Shout
got
out to
Courtney
Elle.
Gold on the podcast. That's how we got Raven Kennedy on the podcast. Here's the thing, you guys, just ask.
Yeah. I was going to say,
Yeah.
we've had several authors like reach out to us
Yep.
and say, hey, I'd love to be on your podcast. And we'd like, come on, as long as you're not like writing children's literature. 'Cause
Right.
we did have that one.
We've had that more than once.
I
Thank
don't
you very much.
think that they would appreciate our colorful commentary.
I am proud of one thing though, because after we had Courtney Gould on, she is a queer author and writes about queer characters. We had a lot of queer authors reach out to us because it felt like a safe space, and I really am
Yeah.
proud of that because we're all allies, and you know, we have kids that are trans and queer, and like we want to create a space where everyone feels very welcome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yay.
Go us.
Yay.
So next up, how did you meet?
Oh God.
This is different answers too, because
Yeah.
like
know.
you guys met.
Yeah.
Well,
we met first.
I wrote the best answer for this is the church that none of us attends anymore. And just leave it at that.
I put weirdly at church.
Yeah.
And I was intimidated by how cool Mindy was.
And I was intimidated by how cool Deb was.
But I was scared of Whitney because she worked for a super conservative school. But now we're all heathens.
Yeah.
And it worked out. You were intimidated of me?
Absolutely.
You had like an air of confidence where I was like, she's either going to love me or hate me. And I'm really glad you loved me.
I was like, she is way too cool for me.
Aw.
I felt like that about both of you guys.
You didn't.
Yeah, I did.
You know, do you want to know? I can remember precisely when I was like, oh, she works at that school, but she is not that school. You had lost electricity, like something had happened at your house, and you turned to a friend that was in this group and you're like, I had to take a horror shower this morning. And I was like, wait, what? And I was like, do you want to go have lunch?
You know what's funny is like
That sounds like me.
I honestly don't remember when we like met at all. I just feel like I've
I'm-
always hung out with you.
I'm
but
pretty
we
sure that the first time we met was when you had surgery and I brought
me food. Yes.
Mhm. And you were like in bed.
I had back surgery and I couldn't move.
Thanks for bringing this.
But like even
I'm pretty
like,
sure it is.
hanging out and stuff. I know we've all connected over our love of books. I mean that
Yeah.
was obvious. That's an obvious answer, right?
Yeah.
But yeah,
It does feel like we've all just been friends.
I mean, I will say you and I bonded over J.R. Ward books.
Yeah,
and then
absolutely.
Whitney and I bonded over horse showers. And then books.
Like also like.
well, which is exactly why we all aren't because I like horse showers too. So
They're very
Like also
efficient.
like.
They're very efficient.
Oh, that's really funny. This question I enjoy very much. What is everyone's opinion on sentient object romance novels? And what is the worst object?
Okay, I tend to respect these more as an exercise for the author. If you can convince me that a door is sexy, you are an excellent writer.
Yeah.
Right? If you
Like
can
a
be like,
creative
okay,
project,
I get
yeah.
it. I would say the worst object, sentient object that we've talked about is the brick wall.
that's hilarious because that's exactly what I said. I actually haven't read much of this because it's
Yeah.
just not something that fascinates me.
But you'll read Salty Pickle?
Well, look, I just wouldn't.
It's not about a pickle.
It doesn't fascinate
Yes, it is.
me enough to choose it over something else at this point.
Right,
but,
right.
But we did read that Chuck Tingle book, which is what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And it was a building, like a diner wall or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he like took it in the ass from the building.
It was like the entire building because I
Yeah.
think at one point it was a wall and at one point it was like the booth, the
that's
seat
right.
of the booth or something.
Right, yeah.
It was crazy. It was different.
Yeah.
But look, whatever floats your boat. If it's well written, like you said, I'll read it.
If you can
But
be-
I haven't really had the urge.
Okay,
to
so
want
the
it.
sentient object that got on my nerves, though, was Mort from Throne of Glass. Because I kept picturing, is it Disney's Beauty and the Beast as a talking doorknob?
That's how I pictured
yes,
it.
me too.
That's how
And I'm
I
like, I
pictured it,
can't get past this.
Yeah.
It was the only part of anything she's ever written where I'm like, that is corny as fuck.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't love that.
Can we not just have the door not talk, but you still need a magical item to get past it? The door does not need to talk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think as far as sentient object novels, I probably have the most anti opinion. Like I am anti sentient object romance. It's just not. It's not for me. I'm not a fan of it.
That's sentientism.
I'm just
Anti-sentientism.
Nobody's perfect, I guess. But I wrote it. I think they're all the worst object. But that's what I wrote in my answer. But I specifically said a door. Which is funny because you use that as
Vera
an example.
Valentine.
Yeah, like
Way to
adore
go.
a building or just like too much. It's just, it's not for me. So next question, an author that you would love to meet or have dinner with or interview, both somebody living now or any author from all time.
Who's yours, Whitney?
I said Sarah J. Maas because, and that's the only answer, the number one. She's created a lot of my favorite characters and most of my favorite books. And I would like to just sit and chat with her about all of the books, the series.
But you probably sit down with her and she's like, can we please talk about something else? Tell me about your kids, Whitney.
I mean, I would do that too.
Yeah.
I would love to think that we would be like friends, but I'm sure we wouldn't. She'd be like, you're weird.
That poor girl can't even walk down the street.
I know.
I mean, her life is like
It's crazy.
irrevocably changed forever.
Yeah.
She's never she is like pure celebrity status.
Yeah. Which is great in some ways,
Right.
but hard in
she
other
like,
ways.
anytime she goes on vacation, someone's like, look who I saw. And I'm like, oh, leave her alone.
No, just let her
Although if I saw her, I'd
I
probably
would take
be
a
like,
picture too.
I love you.
I would, yeah. But what about you guys? What about you guys?
I am still trying to get Helena Hunting to be on the podcast. I just think she'd be fun. The thing with Helena Hunting, and she'll tell you this, is that she's socially awkward, but like so am I.
So are we.
I know, and so like I keep trying to like.
Did you tell her we'd send her the questions beforehand?
I haven't tried
Maybe
that.
you should.
I haven't tried that angle.
Be like,
so-
hey, you're going to know everything we're going to ask, and you can write down your answers.
That's a good idea.
Spoiler, guys. We do send the
They
questions
do know
to
what
people.
they're
Yeah.
Well,
Except
people are
for
too
the-
uncomfortable not to do that.
Yeah. I mean, I think sometimes we throw in a couple extra little fun.
I
Like
always do.
conversational,
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think she would be fun to interview. I'd actually really love to interview John Green. He's my favorite YA author.
Oh, yeah.
But
He's easy to get to.
yeah, right. He's not really in our wheelhouse either, but I don't care. So
Hey, we've had
would be-
amazing fucking people on this podcast. I'd say the only people out of our wheelhouse are Sarah J. Maas.
Yeah.
Like authors.
Well, no,
will
I
talk
think
about
she
their
means
stuff.
like genre.
genre wise, like I don't feel like, but it's not
Kids dying of cancer isn't something we talk about all the time.
not really.
Where's the dick?
I don't know, but yeah,
Sorry.
that would be totally gratuitous.
We
for
would
me to
gain
be
some
like,
listeners, and then they'd listen to the next episode, and they'd be like, "Oh,
oh,
dear
no.
God." So for me, it's Anne Rice.
I knew that would be-
100%.
yeah.
She used to have these vampire balls that were a bucket list item for me. So hanging out with Anne and a bunch of goths in New Orleans, like 1 million
That would
times.
be awesome.
Yes, I would have loved to have gone to one of those.
Yeah.
But, she died and then she wasn't having them. I think the last time she did one was like 2012 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, because obviously it's
I
a
met her
lot of work.
son.
Yeah, you did it.
Yeah.
Readers on the River,
Yeah,
right?
he's also an author, and he's great.
very different from
Yes,
her,
he's
though.
Very
cool.
very different
Yeah.
from her, but
Yeah.
he writes a lot of romance, but
I didn't
also
know that.
Also some I think some more like thrillery kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's got to be some big shoes to try to fill.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be tough. Next question. What is your cringiest moment with an author?
Whitney, I want to hear yours first.
Well, you know what it is.
I don't. Like,
I do.
Oh,
I want to know. There's like,
there's more than one.
It's Scarlet.
No.
nope.
No, it is
Okay,
not.
Is it
So-
Raven Kennedy?
No.
Is it? Okay, I'm not going to say any more then. Who
Yeah.
is it?
There's too many to choose. There's too many to choose from. But no, the one that I picked, the absolute cringiest moment is when we had Kimberly Lemming.
Okay, that's what I was going to
Kimberly
say.
Lemming on.
But I didn't want to make you feel bad about it.
Oh, no, I feel bad about it.
Okay,
I think about it at least once a week. I'm so dead
Sorry,
serious.
Kimberly.
This was over a year ago at this
oh,
point.
like 2 years ago.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. And we did the fan cast with her, and I like completely missed that the main character
Was not white?
Was not white. And I was like, Chris Hemsworth.
Well, and the thing
Oh,
is like
man.
that we were talking about that time I got drunk and saved a demon,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And the book is about slavery and about
A lot of
disenfranchised people,
cultural commentary,
right?
yeah.
And so, like, for you to whitewash the characters, I was like, Whitney,
Some dumb white girl from Kentucky.
like he's Asian,
Yeah,
he's
I
on the
totally-
cover.
You didn't look at the cover. I read it on Kindle. I don't know.
But you were like, I'm going for vibes, and I'm like, shh, shh.
It was horrible. I literally think about it at least once a week.
You do not.
I 100%
Here's the
do.
thing. Hopefully she doesn't still think about it. I highly doubt she does.
She probably doesn't, but I'm sure in that moment she was like, oh my gosh, why did I come on this anyway, I feel bad about it.
So I will say with Raven, the reason I thought you were going to say Raven Kennedy is like, it was just a slip of the tongue. You said the wrong name for a main character, and she stopped and corrected you.
She did, yeah.
Which I would too if it was my books, but she did it in a very friendly way.
Yeah, she wasn't like,
she's
excuse me, bitch.
Actually, it's blah, 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 and then we just kind of moved on,
Yeah, and it was not a big deal, except for I thought about that for at least a week afterwards.
Well, if it makes you feel better, I forgot a title for a book that I loved talking to an author. I had to pause and ask the author what the book title was, what the series was called, and then apologize profusely and promise that I had indeed read the book and thought they were awesome. Because there's nothing worse than getting on and realizing someone's not read your stuff.
Right.
Most of the time, we've either heavily researched or read the book when we talk to an author.
Right.
And so this was one that I was just like, I'm so sorry. I'm exhausted.
Yeah,
and I didn't write down the book title because I've read this book and I didn't think I'd forget it. It was awful.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
It sucks.
Yeah.
I took this two ways, actually. I took it once with, and I'm not naming names for this, but like the author interview was actually really cringy. And then something that I did that was, I was cringy. So the first one was we had, and this did not air, so I'm not naming names. We had an author once that just barely talked. Answered all the questions with one or two answers, didn't know what to say. And in her defense, she was shy. I mean, there was nothing wrong with her. She was lovely.
Sure.
She was, young, and just it just felt very awkward. And so that was a really weird, like,
hard
How do we get her to speak?
Yeah, we were trying so hard to like pull something out of her, and I think she just got stage fright. So, So that was awkward. But the really cringy moment is when I met Helena Hunting for the first time, and I cried, and it was
you did not. I didn't know that.
No, I absolutely cried.
That's really sweet.
And then we took a selfie, and I didn't even look at the camera. Like, it was the most cringy, weird selfie. I'm like,
that's why she won't do the fucking interview. Maybe I should reach out.
Yeah, maybe one of y'all should try.
Well, and special mention, since we talked about the Raven Kennedy one, special mention to me talking to Scarlett St. Clair and being like, if you want somebody to act out the sex scenes, make sure they're realistic. I'll do my husband for you.
And she was like, cool.
Yeah, well, that was at a signing in Lexington, and then we saw her last year at Imaginarium, and I was like, do you remember me? I said this. And she was like, oh my God, yes. So that was fun twice.
Here's the thing.
I'm sure there's more that I'm not remembering.
I say this all the time. This is called our nerdiest thing.
Yeah.
We are fucking awkward.
We're for
dorky.
real.
We are book nerds, and I can pretend extrovert for a couple of hours, but then I lose it and I do shit like that. Yeah.
100%.
So next question, I also really enjoyed this one.
This one was funny.
A best word and or worst word to replace folds.
Okay, can we just use pussy at this point? We've gotten used to it. We're desensitized to it. And for the love of all things holy, do not say lips.
My worst word
does not smile at you.
that I've read, nether lips.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that was
anything with lips, you are making it unsexy. You are making those are on my face.
I'll be honest, I don't love like clinical words in the heat of the moment either.
Like vulva?
Or like, I'm going to put it in her vagina. Like, it's just like,
I'm going to penetrate her vagina with my penis.
I'm not. That's
my
not,
erect
I'm not a fan.
penis.
Yeah, this cracked me up though. I honestly though, anything that makes me laugh is a good candidate. I read a book one time where she called it the vajayjay, and I just thought that was hysterical.
Well, in Jessica Cage's book, doesn't it start talking about booty juice or something? Because she's like sweating profusely.
Yes, booty juice. It's like one of the first lines of that book.
Oh, Lord.
Next question. Which male main character or book boyfriend would you want to be, not be with, but be, and why?
I know, I didn't like that distinction.
I had a hard time with this one.
Well, what'd you end up with?
I ended up with Cassian because he gets to be a badass, he has a huge dick, and he doesn't take anything too serious.
I immediately
sounds like a good time.
I immediately picked Cassian because I would get to hang out with Nesta all the time.
Oh, that makes sense.
She would fucking hate us.
We
would grow on her.
Yeah,
but
we would become best friends.
We are. I think she would be like, "You're too much for me," like, and we would have to like wear her down.
Please leave.
Right? Yeah.
I don't know. I just sit in a room and read books with her, so she probably like that.
Yeah. No, but I'd walk up to her and I'd be like, "So I know people don't understand you, but I totally understand you, and I get you. I want to be your friend, and I understand your trauma."
They would take you to the court of nightmares.
Imprison me.
They would put you in one of those cells. Yeah. Like, how do you know all this information? Who sent you?
I'm like, I'm sorry, I just don't know when to shut the fuck up.
Who did you pick for your book
that I would want to
be
and be with is Castile. Okay, a lot of the reasons you said, Mindy, he gets to find a mate, he gets to avenge his family, and he like fucking saves the world with his mate, which is so cool. Yeah. And I would probably touch myself and touch Kieran all the time. I'd be like, oh, there's my dick again. I think I'm going to stroke it.
There's my bonded woven.
Okay, this isn't my nerdiest thing of the week, but I did have to explain to my husband, because all men, he's like, why don't you sleep with your shirt off? And I'm like, okay, let me ask you something. I was like, guys don't normally sleep in the nude. I was like, so if you don't have pants on and you have a penis, is it just flopping everywhere as you're trying to sleep? And he's like, yeah, it's so uncomfortable. And I was like,
welcome to having boobs.
My boobs do that. And he's like, oh, and I was like, yes, they move with me, and it is not comfortable to not have a shirt on.
See, if I said that to Robbie, he would be like, I'll hold them in place for you. It's fine.
And Robbie's like, I didn't get any sleep because I kept having to hold your tits up all night.
But I'm not complaining. That's what he would say. So next question. This was a hard one for me. What is your all-time favorite book series?
I had to pick two.
Was hard for me too.
That's a tough question. Which two did you pick, Deb?
The Vampire Chronicles by Anne Rice and the Blood and Ash series by Jennifer Armentrout. I don't think that's a shock at all.
No.
I mean, I always have stood very tall for those series.
Yeah.
And they're similar in a lot of ways, like the lore and stuff. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mindy, what'd you pick?
I just have to go with Pucked by Helena Hunting. Just because that was my first intro to hockey romance.
Yeah.
It's melded two worlds that I love. She's just fun, and I've gotten to be on her ARC team. I'm very wrapped up in her world.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I think it's just hers are the books that I go to when I want to love reading again.
I love that.
Yeah. So I put that, and then I said if I had to pick one though for my childhood, it was Sweet Valley High, which of course is a surprise to no one.
Yeah, I love that series too. I went with Throne of Glass
because I'm surprised you didn't do Bonds of Time.
I thought about it, but Throne of Glass is just so much deeper, I feel like, and I appreciate all the layers of it.
And you're talking series as a whole, not just the first book.
Correct.
Right? Because that's what I always have to tell people that are starting it. I'm like, you have to understand the series.
The completed series.
Right.
Yeah. I love Throne of Glass, and I just love it.
That would be a good honorable mention for me. I would agree with that.
I love that series so much. Next question. What book or series would be the most realistic to turn into a TV series or a movie?
I want to know yours, Whitney.
I said Throne of Glass would be a great series. And The Plated Prisoner, I think, would be a really good series,
that
too.
would be a great series.
It could be very dark.
It could, yeah. Both of them you could lighten it up a little bit if you wanted to. You could make it super dark and gritty. But I mean, both of those book series would give you seasons on seasons of a show.
True.
So I think those would be great.
Yeah.
Are you listening, Netflix?
Netflix.
Max? Prime?
No, I don't want them on Netflix. I want them on Prime or HBO. Yeah. So I'm just going to carry on with my vampire theme. Empire the Vampire would make a fantastic TV series. I would want it to be made by the people that did Game of Thrones, though, for the same reason that we just said. It needs to be dark. It needs to be super violent because, I mean, the books really are. They deal with some very heavy content. Yeah. And it is, even though that is one book, it's 900 pages. It does have a sequel. There's a third one coming out in November. But the way that it's written, it would be so easy to adapt it for television. It's very easy to visualize it as you're reading it.
Yeah. Cool.
I went a very different direction. I would love to see Emily Raspucking Around be made into a mini series. Maybe.
That would be so fun,
that
right?
Would be.
And there just aren't enough good hockey movies or series out that appeal,
or even romances like that
appeal to both women and men.
Yeah,
and I think that one would. I think if J.J. Abrams did it, it would be gold. Did you hear that, J.J. Abrams? I know you're on my I'm on the number one on your call list. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I think there's some really good explorations you could do there, and it would be an opportunity to hopefully make Rachel a little more likable.
Sure.
Yeah. That would be a really good little mini series.
But then we'd also have to see Tessa and Ryan, because that would be
true. Yeah.
Well, and all the novellas in between all the books,
the Pucking Ever Afters.
Yes, thank you. I was trying to think of the title. Those could be.
They can weave those in.
Yeah. You could have multiple seasons of that as well. This one I will give credit to the person who asked it, because it's my sister, because this question made me laugh. Out of all the smut you've read, and if your husband didn't exist, poor Robbie, what character would you choose to be your life partner or mate if the fates would have it?
So what did you say?
I said, again, no thought, immediate answer, Cassian, because I am Nesta and he can handle me. What'd you guys say?
I'm a little bit of a repeater too. Mine would be Castile. But if he lives in our life, that's assuming that Poppy doesn't exist, because she is his true mate and she would fucking annihilate me. Yeah. I'm scared of her.
Yeah.
I'm way scared of her than I am Castile's wrath.
Well, yeah. She's a lot more powerful.
Well, also, I could just touch his dick and it'd calm him down. So
probably.
Yeah. But him and Rune Dannon.
Yeah.
And it's because they have the same exact qualities when it comes down to it.
The same personality.
Yeah.
Mindy, who'd you pick?
This one was a hard one for me. I ultimately went with Ilmari because he likes to read. He doesn't talk too much. He's a caregiver and he's good in bed. The only thing is I don't know if I could handle all that cock.
I mean,
but I sure am going to try with the dildo I have now.
If you didn't I'm going to go ahead and put a plug in for last week's episode.
Yeah.
Where we talk about Shakespeare, but also big dildos.
Oh, that's really funny.
Because those go together.
Yeah. Next question. What is the best or your favorite author interview that we've done to date, and why?
Mindy, what's yours?
Oh, mine going along with my pucking around theme. My answer will always be Emily Rath. We interviewed her right before she really took off.
Yeah.
She took the world by storm. I was so enamored by her, and she was so lovely and smart. She's just a gem of a person, and I feel so lucky that we got to make that connection with her.
Yeah.
So it's funny because I put her as well as Bridget Kemmerer for the same exact reasons. They're both so smart, so eloquent, and it felt just like a conversation with an old friend. They were easy to talk to, and I just really, really loved those interviews.
I loved Bridget too, actually.
Yeah.
I'd forgotten about that one. It was a really good interview.
This is kind of funny because I didn't think about the fact that I made myself look stupid in front of her. But I said Raven Kennedy because it was really...
For the record, you didn't make yourself look stupid in front of her. You had one little slip up and she just corrected you real quickly.
I felt stupid in front of her. But it was cool to talk to an author with a completed series that I have read and that I really, really loved, especially with such strong female main characters.
Well, and she got signed. She got a 7-figure book deal for her next. I think it's a trilogy.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
So I can't wait to see it.
Really fun interview as well. So, next question. What alternate ending would you choose for a series that you've read to keep it going?
That's a really good question.
I like
this
question
was a hard
a
one
lot.
for me too.
I'd love to see more from the Folk of the Air series, which is the Cruel Prince. Maybe a redemption arc for Taryn. I'd love to see her come into herself, rise into some sort of power, because you end up kind of hating her.
Yeah.
And she did have some good qualities, right? And just putting a little tag in here, I just want the ending for Outlander. Why the fuck is Jamie a ghost in the very first book? I need to know what that is. It's plaguing me. And we don't even have a release date for that book.
Allegedly, she's working on it, but
I mean, but
knows?
here's the thing. She's been writing those books since the 90s. She's never been an author that releases every year.
Yeah.
But I've said this a million times. Stop fucking pressuring the authors to write fast because it's not as good.
Right.
Let them figure
100%.
it out. Yeah, so I'll wait for it.
Mindy, what did you pick for your...
I ended up going with, and this might be a little bit of a spoiler for our current read-alongs episodes.
Spoiler.
Book club episodes. I want to see the Ruinous Love trilogy continued on. I want to see Scythe and Sparrow with a little bit more filled out. And then I would love a final book where they all have to work together to like get rid of Leander or something. Like they
Right.
have to
That's
work
cool.
together on
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, all 6 of the
But the guys are just dumbasses and the women do it all.
the girls
get
do
it
it
all.
all. Yeah.
They're not dumbasses in the book, for the record, but
I mean,
well,
they're
Theon
not
kind of is.
dumbasses, but
Yeah.
they're definitely led by different desires.
Well, I would love to see more from the Throne of Glass characters.
Yep.
Yeah.
As my favorite series. I would love to see more from them.
Yeah,
Keeping
definitely.
it spoiler free, and that's all I'm going to say about that.
Yep.
What female main character or male main character would you prefer had been killed off, or a character that was killed off that you wish had been saved?
Y'all, I have 3.
Spoilers, first
Yeah.
of all.
Yeah,
Spoilers.
I have 1 killed and 1 saved.
So maybe let's say spoiler for the book before we say the character.
Who it is,
So
okay.
if our listeners haven't read that book, they can just like fast forward a little
So
bit.
I have
you know?
2 that I'd want to save and 1 I would want to kill off. Spoiler for Mockingjay. Prim.
Oh, yeah.
How dare Suzanne Collins kill off the girl we like all volunteer distribute for?
Yeah.
That was such an awful death.
That was disrespectful.
And she was like fighting for the
Yeah.
the rebellion, right?
Yeah.
Spoiler alert for The Time Traveler's Wife. This book, it's like beyond amazing, and the movie actually does a pretty good job of exploring the essence of the book, but killing Henry off and then having his wife only to be able to see him in like her flash forwards like later in her life is like fucking devastating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so hard, and the book is even more devastating. Now, the person that we should have killed, I am very passionate about this one. Mal from Shadow and Bone. He and Elena do not make sense. He wants her to be something she isn't. That's not love. Plus, the Darkling shouldn't have been so hot if we weren't supposed to fall for him.
Yeah. If he was going to for real be the villain.
Right.
Yeah.
Why give him a sharp jawline and a deep voice? Don't do it. Next time, make him look like a fucking nerd.
I was going to say like Jafar.
Yes, 100%. Mal is closer to Jafar than but Mal, like, he was just a whiny bitch
Yeah.
the whole time. And I understand she needs a friend, but like, there was no like passion in their relationship.
Yeah.
I hated it.
Yeah, I
Hated
agree.
it.
I agree with
Yeah.
that. Mindy, what was your answer?
I
for
feel like
this
this is like Marry, Fuck, Kill.
one? It is a little bit.
No one asked us that. That's too bad.
So killed off, I could totally do without Tamlin. I mean, he can go.
Yeah.
I don't care.
He helped Feyre grow into who she was, though. I
mean,
will say.
Yeah, but we had to go through some fiddling for that. And then saved. This one's not. I wouldn't even call him a main character. So this is spoilers for. I didn't do spoilers for that one because everybody knows about Tamlin. But this is spoilers for Fourth Wing. Liam.
Yeah.
I would
That's
say-
a really hard one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a really, really rough death for me.
Yeah.
So
It was for me too. Both times I read the book.
It was one of those where I was like, but he's about to come back, right? He's
Yeah,
going to
I
wake
know.
up, right?
I know. Yeah.
I almost put Ian from Blood and Ash for
Yeah.
the same reasons, because
Yeah.
you're like, he can't actually be dead.
Yeah. She keeps saying he is.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
So-
she like has made huge jokes about it. She'll
Yeah.
like write this huge thing on her pages and she'll be like, also Ian, still dead.
Yeah. I just have one character. This is a spoiler for Throne of Glass. This is one character that I would save, and it's Gabrielle.
Yeah.
I would
He
say
never
him.
got his like whole redemption with his
Yeah.
son, which is really sad.
that
Yeah.
was very, very sad.
Yeah.
I hated that.
Heartbreaking.
I think that could have been some cool character development for Adian if they had kept him
Yeah.
on.
I do think, though, it made it, for lack of a better way to put this, it did repair the relationship faster
Yeah.
and made
Yeah.
him a little bit more forgivable
Yeah.
and all of that. So that may have been the
Yeah.
only way that she felt like she could
That
redeem
it could happen.
him. Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Because Adian isn't going to be like, it's cool, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially with everything else they've got to deal with after that.
Right. And last but not least, last question. If you could interview Sarah J. Maas and or Jennifer L. Armentrout and no question was off limits, what would you ask?
Do they need someone to act out their sex scenes? Just kidding.
Oh, that's
Just
funny.
kidding.
I didn't write that. I thought about writing that question, but I did not. Well, one of my questions is very similar to that, actually.
Okay, do tell.
For Sarah J. Maas, I would want to talk to her about Nesta and like how much of Nesta is Sarah J. Maas, right? Which is extremely personal, right?
Yeah.
So,
Right.
And for JLA, I would ask if she gets as hot and bothered by her scenes as we do.
Oh, I like that question.
I'm going to say she does. She's very attached to her characters. Okay, so I actually got to ask JLA my burning question last year at a Polycon. And if we have new listeners, or maybe you don't follow us on Instagram, I asked if both Kieran and Castile had penetration with Poppy, and the answer was yes during the joining. And the follow-up question from another bookstagrammer who goes by Dr. Saurus Rex, they do really fun book reviews and little drawings. They asked if Cass and Kieran have had sex with one another, and the answer was also yes. So that was a good moment for me. For SJM, I want to know where the fuck my bonus chapter is for Nesta, Cassian, and Azriel. We know she wrote a threesome. We know it was taken out. Where the fuck is it? Give it to me. But also, are we going to see Aelin again? And I'm not going to say why I'm asking that question. It's for the same reason you asked it a second ago.
Yeah. I hope so.
I would love to see her again.
Yeah. Mindy, what about you?
My actual one would be, and honestly, like, it's not really an off limits question, but I just really like learning more about the personal lives of the authors. Not too personal, but like not necessarily about their books, but like I always love the question when we ask what their style was in middle school, or you know, what kinds of things got them in trouble when they were younger. I don't know, like, I like those are little moments that really give you someone's personality. Yeah. Like, especially now, like if somebody asked me what my style was in middle school and high school, well, middle school I was preppy, in high school I was goth. So like that tells you a whole lot about my eclectic personality right there. Yeah. So, you know, I love those kinds of questions. And I mean, maybe it can be personal for some people because maybe they didn't have a very good childhood or whatever. Right. So I guess you could call that, but like, that's the kind of stuff I like to know about famous people and authors. Yeah. Those kind of things I like to ask.
That's fun.
And if you don't listen to our author interviews, we do ask those types of questions.
We do.
Yeah, we do.
Maybe you should go listen.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, everybody that submitted any and all of these questions. And you are always welcome to send us questions if you have things you want to know from us. You don't have to wait for an AMA.
If you listen to more than one episode, you know that we are very open about everything.
Yeah. And that brings us to our nerdiest things of the week. And I already shared mine because it was the Mary Roach confusion.
What was yours, Deb?
Mine was I took my daughter to Chicago to tour Columbia University there. It's an art school. And first of all, I want to go to that school. It's amazing. But we visited Myopic Books, which was super duper fun. It's a used bookstore, but also a Barnes & Noble that used to be a bank. So it was really kind of cool in there. Yeah. And, you know, I love visiting my local indies, but since that one was in a bank, I just thought it was like really, really interesting. Yeah. So we did some book shopping in Chicago. It was really fun.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. Nice. Cool. What about you, Min?
Well, I got something off of Vine. I got a leash for my cat. I've always wanted. So my youngest cat, she's only 2 years old. She was an outdoor cat. We got her when she was like 11 weeks old or 12 weeks old. So for the first like couple months of her life, she was an outdoor cat. So she roamed around. They had lots of land and stuff like that. And then I bring her home and I'm like, no, you're stuck in the house. And so I've always wanted to try to take her out on this leash. She did not.
I was about to say, I've met your cat and she was not having that shit.
Would like just sit there, and then finally she just gave up and rolled over. It was hilarious. I feel so bad. So I'm glad I got it on Vine and I didn't like pay any money for it. It's really cute. It's a little harness and it looked comfy.
I have seen those several times, and I do not know of any cat that would be willing to be walked.
Yeah.
Honestly, you see some of these cats. I think this is where I got the idea. I'll see people. There's actually a whole Facebook group for Airstream owners with cats. Or cats. I think it's called Cats of Airstream or something like that. And these cats will go out on these. They'll like go out on walks on a leash, or they'll just chill out or whatever. I'm like, my cats would never do that.
Yeah.
So anyway, I tried.
A for effort.
If you won't go out on a leash, you might get eaten by a hawk. So
yeah, that's true. Yeah. Well, that's it for this episode. Please stay tuned for our interview with author Nelle Nikole, and we'll see you next time.
Bye. Bye.
Hello, fellow nerds, and welcome to our nerdiest thing. Today, we are live with a very special guest, author Nelle Nikole. Nelle, a California native, now based in Atlanta, has been writing thrilling stories since her early days in elementary school. With a background in anthropology, Nelle's passion for understanding diverse cultures took her on research journeys to Rio de Janeiro and Cuba. Her love for knowledge didn't stop there. She later earned a master's degree in public policy, which fuels the complex societal themes in her writing. Nell is the author of 2 gripping series, the Kushtal Academy series, and a separate dystopian fantasy romance series featuring Rising, Echoes of War, and Before Thereafter. Through powerful themes of survival, morality, and human resilience, her work resonates deeply with readers from all walks of life. Nell finds herself inspired by all things fantasy, apocalyptic, and anything in between. And when she's not writing, Nell enjoys life with her husband Ben and their fur kid, Sophie. Welcome to the podcast, Nell. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. It sounds so much better when you read the bio than like when I read it online. I sound cool.
You are cool. That's not just me. That's you. So tell me a little bit about your fur kid, Sophie. Is this a cat, a dog?
That is my little gremlin of a dog. She's my old lady that I got off of Craigslist in college.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
What kind of dog is she?
We don't know. So she aesthetically looks like a Yorkie, except she's very long in a way that doesn't seem cool for a Yorkie.
Yeah.
So yeah, they also told me she was 2 when I got her, and then I took her to get spayed, and they were like, "Ma'am, this is a senior citizen, so her entire identity in life is a mystery to me."
Oh, she's just a woman of mystery.
Exactly.
I love that. I have a 2-year-old doodle, and it's the first dog that I've ever had. And he's my little baby. So I'm with you. I'm with you on the fur kid. So I love your bio telling all the listeners that you've got a degree in anthropology and public policy, because I love when really creative authors have kind of not what you would expect day jobs or paths. So tell us a little bit about how you became a degree holder for anthropology and public policy and how you went from that to an author as well.
Yeah. So originally when I started my undergraduate degree, I was a political science major, and I attended Georgia State University, and so they pride themselves with being one of the best political science schools in the country. It was so boring. I had professors that would just read from the textbook, and I was like, if I'm going to pay all this money to be here, I want to actually learn something that I can't just learn in my dorm room. So I took Introduction to Cultural Anthropology class, and my professor was brilliant, and I was just front row every class, asking all the questions, reading ahead. I was just so excited to learn because he was so excited to teach. Professor Brent Woodward, I'll name drop because he deserves it.
Shout out to the professor.
I remember I left, I think my first or second class, and I called my parents and I was like, so I'm switching my major. And my parents were so mad because, they just had that, they're boomers. And so they were like, you're going to go to school and you have 3 jobs, doctor, lawyer, or accountant. That's what you can do. And I was like, well, I can still, the goal was to go to law school. And I was like, I can still do that with an anthropology degree. That's not going to stop me. So they were like, fine, you can do that, but you have to minor in political science and Spanish. And I was like, dude, whatever. I don't care. As long as my main subject is anthropology. So did that, loved it. The anthropology department at Georgia State was super small, so I felt like I got that close-knit relationship with my peers, with my professors. I was always
a small school kind of feel.
Yeah. We were having class in their office. It was just nice, and I got to connect with so many of my professors on a more personal level, and still in contact with some of them. And then when I graduated, I was like, okay, I don't want to be an attorney, but I still love politics. So let me figure out something that I can do with that. So I got my master's, and I got halfway through it, and I looked at the world around us, and I was like, I don't know if I can curse on here, but I was like, fuck this.
Yeah.
I don't want to do anything that deals with this government. It just gives me icky vibes.
It's a little bleak, isn't it?
Yeah. And I just felt like I was going to look at a life of depression if I went that direction.
Yeah.
But I was too far into paying for that school to quit. So I was like,
sure. Yeah.
Let's just finish this. And then I graduated. I was working my 9 to 5, and I had no hobbies. So I started reading and writing. And then my mom was like, you just need to sit and be bored for a little bit. And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll do that. And I started writing, and I was like, no, I'm going to publish a book. And she was like, you legitimately don't know how to chill out. And I was like, oh. And here I am.
This isn't what we meant when we said relax.
Yeah, I was like, I can combine my love for different cultures, which is like why State of the Union is so diverse, because for me, it was so important for everyone to be able to see themselves in the story and have like their identity and their culture represented. And then when I did my anthropology degree, the professors I studied under, they were focused on Mesoamerica. So that's when I got introduced to Mayan Mayan culture, Mayan mythology, and then like Aztec culture. And then I did my study abroad in Rio and Cuba. And then I was like, let's mix politics in here. Let's base it off of what at the time was historically based, but hadn't actually occurred. And then I kind of feel like I've been a bit of a prophet the way things have started playing out recently. But
let's take the plot into a different direction then.
yeah, let's make it a happy.
If you're the prophet, let's change it a little bit, please.
Yeah.
No, I love that. And I love what you said about everybody feeling like they are represented. They can see themselves. I shared after I talked with Michaela Hornado, who co-wrote some Kushtal Academy books with you. I shared that series with my sister-in-law, who is Mexican and Puerto Rican. And she was like, this is exactly the kind of book that I want to read. Like, I want to be able to see myself in what I'm reading. And it's just, you were already making a difference for people, which I really love. I love that. So even though we are living in a dystopia, let's talk about your dystopian fantasy romance series. You just mentioned State of the Union. So book 3 in this series is releasing in late May 2025. Which will be just a few weeks after this interview releases. So what can readers look forward to when they start reading this series? I don't want to talk too much about book 3 because I'm sure it's spoilery if they haven't read, books 1 and 2. But what can readers expect?
I think starting with book 1, because when I was writing that, I was kind of processing my grief of losing my childhood best friend and then my papa all within a few years of each other. And I didn't really have a place to put that, especially when I was going through my master's, because I was working full time and everything was just go, go, go. And so I kind of put that into book 1. And so it focuses a lot on grief, mental health. It has some like addiction themes in there. And then really just that the faith of like humanity and having that support system to get you through tough times. But it also has that adventure in there, that mystery, and the political aspect of the 4 different territories that we have, because they're all such different ways of life. You have Transient Nation, which is more of hunter-gatherers. Yeah. And then you have the Expanse, which is just like a harder way of living. So it creates a bit of harder people. You have Covert Province, which is the part that I feel a little bit of a prophet about, unfortunately, but they're more secretive, in the first book. And then you have Salem Territory, which to me kind of represents the way of living there, kind of represents the way that I feel like the world should reflect, where everyone's kind of living in this harmony, and we have less of like that individualism and more sense of community, and how individuals can make the collective better and feel society to kind of take off into a better space where everyone's welcome. They all feel valued. And I like to say like the difference between Salem Territory and the other territories is that individuals that live there, they kind of have that feeling where they are a resource, but they are a valued resource, that they're kind of living and doing and breathing the values that I think should exist. They have that moral compass, that empathy for others and for themselves. And then you kind of pivot to book 2, where, book 1 has that tragedy and grief in it. Book 2 has that like feminine rage, that just thirst for revenge, getting even, like, don't just get mad, get even. I like to say like that, what is it? Do no harm, but take no shit, except Amaya is very much do harm and take no shit. So it has those vibes to it. We get more into exploring the different territories, different ways of living, dark magic, science experiments, action, setting us up for war. That for me is fun to write and
Yeah.
less traumatizing, even though trauma is less traumatizing than the first book. And then you have Before They're After, which is just those prequel novellas that show how our main crew, our band of misfits, how they all came to Monterey Compound in Salem territory, and their backstory that kind of goes into why the way that they are. So I always tell people, like, you could read it first, but if you really want to make yourself cry, you'll read it in between Echoes of War and Ashes of Honor, which is book 3.
Yeah.
And book 3, without spoiling too much, is very heavy on that history aspect because, you know, Amaya, the main character, loves history. I love history. So she focuses on history, war, politics. So we get more into the nitty gritty. So it goes from like a character-based novel to a mix of character to plot to like now we're fast forward moving with plot heavy aspects, war, the trials of war, good versus evil. Everyone's morally black at this point.
Yeah. Well, it is a dystopia. I do love though it sounds like the Salem territory is like a little glimpse of utopia or how things could or should be even in a dystopia, which I appreciate. You know, even when things look really bleak, there are still glimpses of positive and glimpses of hope and still good people, even when there's a lot of people who are not so good. So I appreciate that you included that in your prophecy for us. Thank you. Thank you so much. So let's talk a little bit more about Kushtal Academy, which you have worked on with fellow Imaginarium author Michaela Hornado, we mentioned. So what was it like to collaborate with another author? Did you guys know each other pretty well before you collaborated? Were you getting to know each other as you were working together? How was that experience?
So I don't know what Michaela said about me, but we're like friends, soulmates. So it's our friendship happened very quickly. I think we talked online for a few months, and then I was like, "Hey, you should like come visit me." And then she actually booked a plane ticket and then came down, and that was like I remember the date. It was like August 14th, 2023. And I've not gone like a single day where I haven't talked to her since then. So
Oh, I
our
love that.
friendship was like kind of formed when she came to visit. You know, she knew that I had that background in Mayan mythology, and I had already read her other series where it was very influenced by Mayan mythology. So we were like, what if? But we're both very big Zodiac Academy fans. So we were like, what if we did an academy, but everything was super diverse? So we talked about it in August. And then by November, we were like, so, you know, when we're done working on the books that we're writing right now, maybe we should just sit down, do an outline for the future.
Yeah.
And then by December, we were already writing.
Fast tracked.
Yeah, the process was really easy because I kid you not, we finish each other's thoughts. And it's just, I kind of describe it as popcorn reading, but with writing. So we have like this very bare bones outline of A, B, C. We know we have to get to these points, but everything that happens in between, because she writes Mira and I write Koa, is just played off of each other. So she'll write a chapter or two. I read it. I'm like, dude, that's some cool shit. And then I write the next chapter and she's like, ooh, I love that. What if we went this way with it? And it's nice because we kind of both give each other that creative freedom.
Yeah.
As long as it like makes sense for our final plot. So we don't really have disagreements. We're just like, I like what you're doing, but we need to pivot a little bit to make it work with the greater plot, which is nice because I feel like she's helped me become a better writer. I hope she feels the same way, but she also helps me look at those aspects of plot and character development that you're a little blind to when you're writing things on your own.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really easy. We're actually writing book 2 right now.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah, we're about 20% into it. And we're just getting more, you know, we've explored the characters in that first book. Sure. Now we're getting into the plot heavy stuff, the lore, which is super exciting because I'm super excited to dive more into the mythology and how it works as we explore the world.
I love that. And one thing that she and I talked about too, the fact that you guys write from the same character's POV. Like you focus on this character, she focuses on this character. I think that's so great for storytelling because you guys can really go deep into that character, right? And you know your voice so well. And I just think that makes for such a great reading experience too, to have that consistent voice for that particular point of view. I think that was really, really smart. So good job. Good job to you both.
She does, you're right. Like she knows Mira so well. So, when she's writing those chapters and if I see something, I'm like, I don't know if I would have gone that direction. I don't argue it because I'm like,
sure.
Dude, your character, your character. And, she kind of does the same thing. So it really challenges us to consider the other character that's happening, but also stay with that consistency that, you like you said, the reader enjoys.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's great. Do you have any other news on works in progress that you can share? You just shared you're working on book 2 of the Academy series. Is there anything else that you can share at this point?
About Cristal or just anything?
Anything at all, yeah.
So I know that for Cristal, we're aiming for a late fall release date. So I can share that. We don't have a set for that yet, but I am working on a secret little
something secret little something
from I don't want to call it a novella because I don't know if it'll be deemed that. I know it's a lot shorter than my 177,000 word books, but it's a standalone from the State of the Union series.
Awesome.
On another territory, so that plot line will run from day 0, kind of like the before thereafter, but run up until one of the major events in Rising. So the reader will get to see what's going on and have that full picture for that other territory.
That's super fun. Yay. Do you have a time frame for that yet, or is it still a little too early in the process?
I don't. I told myself, okay, your deadline should be the beginning of next year just for editing purposes, but I'm kind of just letting myself write it when I feel like it. I feel like I'm moving a little bit faster than I thought, but I don't have a set release date for it yet. I might do one of those like surprise, it's published type of situations.
That's super fun, I think, for as a reader. I think that's really, really fun. It's fun sometimes to have the anticipation, but it's also fun to be like surprised with fun little extra things like that. So that's awesome. So we will see you in person at Imaginarium in June. Is there anybody that you are excited to see again, or maybe like an internet friend that you're going to meet in person for the first time, or authors that you're just like going to fangirl about?
Yeah. So my internet friend, Nina Laskowski, I have not met her yet, and I get to meet her there, and we're doing the like Family Feud thing together.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I'm really
That'll
excited.
Be fun.
I'm so excited to meet her. And there's a few others, but with PolyCon coming up, I'm kind of like confusing the two.
Keep straight who's going to be at what.
But I know Nina's going to be there. I know Nisha's going to be there. So super excited to meet her because I'm reading The Trial of Sun Queen right now.
Oh,
and
nice.
Eating it up. Eating it up.
Good.
Yeah, and then Amber is going to be there because we have that panel together.
Yeah.
Her and Michaela. So super excited to cut up with her because I love Amber. She's one of my close friends. So it's always a good time.
I love that. That's awesome. Well, that brings us to our nerdy and dirty speed round, where we've got just some random questions for listeners to get to know you a little bit. No wrong answers, just whatever comes to your head first. So first question, if you woke up tomorrow in the world of your State of the Union series, which character would you seek out first?
I would say Tomo, but like, I don't think she would give me the chance to say anything before she cut my head off. So I would say Amaya because I want to say we get along, but part of me feels like we wouldn't. But I know that if I stuck with her, I'd probably survive. So there's that. Yeah.
Yeah. Make an early alliance with the strong one.
Exactly. She's just so well-rounded. I feel like, she trained me enough for when she eventually kicked me out. It's like, you've got to be on your own now.
Well, that actually leads perfectly into the next question. If the zombie apocalypse happened and we were living in a dystopian world, what would your special talent or special skill be to help you survive?
I would not survive.
Yeah, that's me too. I'd
I
be
would
out in the first
want
wave.
to, yeah, no AC, but no. I think my special talent would just be, well, first I would have to get there, but because I have this love for history and politics, I feel like I would be that person who would be like essential in reforming society. But if I could get a magical power, I would say I really like Riley's ability, since he has that power. He has earth magic, but he can control bugs. I think
Oh,
that's so cool. Yeah, I love his magic and I love exploring it. So as much as I hate bugs, I would love it because that allowed him to survive before he got with the group. So I think that
yeah. Well, and I would be like, I could keep the mosquitoes away with
yeah.
with that kind of power. Like, I feel like that might be helpful. I don't know. Next question: which of your characters do you relate to the most? And that might change from day to day, I'm sure.
It does. I know I can concretely say that me and Raina have nothing in common because she's so positive and just optimistic and cheerful. I love her, but
Like, couldn't be me.
yeah, especially in the middle of an apocalypse. Like I think in Ashes of Honor, the third book, she's like wearing a pink dress with her combat boots. Like love her down, but I think most days I go in between Amaya and Tamo, which is why I think that I probably wouldn't get along with them because our
Yeah.
personalities would butt head because we're so similar. But between those two, I have that dry, sarcastic humor that Tamo has, but attitude-wise, very much Amaya.
I feel like you and I would be really good friends.
Yeah, for sure. You get me.
Like,
You get me.
you're describing my personality as well.
Yeah.
So, as a child, what was your favorite book, either to read yourself or maybe to even be read to?
I have three, I guess, for three stages of life. So when I was like little, it'd be Green Eggs and Ham because I had like the entire Dr. Seuss collection.
Nice.
Then the middle time period, it was probably torn between like Nancy Drew because my mom and my dad were both like Nancy Drew Hardy Boys type people. So
So was my mom. Yeah.
I connected with them that way. I don't read mystery now, but I really enjoyed it. But then what really got me into my fantasy era was Percy Jackson. So big fan about that. And then since high school and then becoming an adult, this is like so random because I feel like everyone read it in high school and most people hated it. But Lord of the Flies.
Oh, yeah.
I talk about it so much in the State of the Union series because I just think it's so real for every situation in every time period in history. And you can just look at it and see that primitive state of humans. And
human nature. Yeah.
I could read it a million times. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. I used to teach high school English, and that was one of my favorite. I didn't get to do it very often, but that's one of my favorite books to talk to the kids about because it's
so
real. Yeah, that's just human nature for sure. Yeah. When you have a day off, what is your favorite thing to do?
Eat. I think to eat and write and read. So basically what I do when I'm not off, but just have the luxury of doing it without a time constraint.
Yeah.
So catch me DoorDashing 3 times a day.
That's what I was just about to ask. Do you prefer to cook for yourself or do you want somebody else to do the cooking?
So I actually love cooking. Like Sienna in Crystal Academy, since Mira and Sienna are like self-inserts of me and Michaela. So a lot of those recipes and stuff are what I'm cooking. That's my love language, especially for my husband. But when he's not here, DoorDash. I love DoorDash. It's a problem, but it's mostly because those are foods that I don't feel like cooking. So like a good lobster mac and cheese or some like quesadillas from the taco truck. That's my vibe.
Yeah, I love that. And I can't make stuff like that better than a food truck for sure.
Yeah.
If you could wake up tomorrow in a different author's fantasy worlds, what world would you choose or what author would you choose?
This is so hard because I just feel like I wouldn't survive any of them. But going back to my childhood, I always wanted to be at like a Camp Half Blood just because like it seemed so, and like now that we have like the movies and the shows to fall back on, like I just feel drawn to Percy Jackson series even more.
Yeah.
It looks exactly like, like on TikTok, they're like, I have a low budget imagination. Mine was never low budget when it came to that. So like it was always exactly how I envisioned. So I think it would be cool until it wasn't.
Yeah, it would be cool at first to see all the things, right?
And then you're gonna start fighting, and then I'd be like, "Hey guys, I'm out."
Yeah, I'm not made for this. Last but not least, for the speed round, what is bringing you the most joy in life right now?
I think the first answer should be my husband.
Of course, that goes without saying.
But the second answer, just having the ability to write, that just, even when it's hard and there's chapters that I'm not really feeling like writing, it's just really nice to have that outlet to express myself.
Yeah.
And right now I'm also having a lot of fun just going outside and exploring my neighborhood and just walking around. It's nice. My husband calls it my plant walk because I stay in my office all day. So
yeah. Yeah, we're here in Kentucky. We're like slowly coming out of winter. It's getting a little bit warmer, slowly getting into spring, and it's nice to be able to go out and be in the sunshine a little bit. Yeah. Well, Nell, where can readers best connect with you? Is social media the best way? Newsletter?
Yes. So if you want to like chat with me through my DMs, Instagram would be the best place, which is author Nelle Nikole. And then if you want to see my funny videos and content, follow me on TikTok for as long as it's here at the same handle, author Nelle Nikole. And if you want to hear my insane thoughts and you're an F1 fan, because I'm a big F1 fan, that should be my like what's bringing me a lot of joy right now, even though I'm a Ferrari fan and it's not going great for us this season. But if you want to hear me talk about politics, like real world politics, my zany thoughts, and F1, follow me on Threads, author Nelle Nikole. And another place to connect with me, Substack and Patreon. That's where I do like newsletter type vibes that are more casual. And I also share little snippets from my work in progress and then recipes from Crystal Academy.
I love that. I love that you share recipes from the book. I think that's great. I like stuff like that. Yeah, eat like your favorite character. Where can we purchase your books?
So I do have if you want a signed copy, I have direct link for Ben Betty, because I've been saying it the wrong way this entire time. So Ben Betty, or actually B Venti, because I see it right there. B Venti, that's in the link in my bio on all of my accounts. And then if you want it on Kindle or you don't care about getting signed, no hard feelings, Amazon is the best spot. There's also a few local bookshops that I have linked in my bio as well, if you want to support Black-owned bookshops and local bookshops as well.
Absolutely. I love that. And we'll have your Instagram linked in our show notes. So listeners can go to your Instagram and get to the link in your bio for all of that information too. So I love that. So besides Imaginarium, do you have any other conventions, signings, events that you're doing in 2025?
Yes. I think this will come out after ApollyCon. So we've got Imaginarium, and then I have Sinners and Stardust, which is August in Boston. Don't hold me on the dates. And then I have Book Harvest, which is in Chicago.
Fun.
That's in October. And then I will be at Shadows and Seduction in New Orleans, March 14th through March 16th. I know that because it's my anniversary. So March 14th through 16th, 2026.
2026.
For that one. Yeah.
Yeah, well, you have them nice and spread out a little bit, so you can maybe rest and rejuvenate in between all these events. Yeah, yeah. And write and edit and all that too. Yeah. Well, Nell, to finish everything out, we always end our nerdiest thing with sharing what our nerdiest thing of the week is. And it usually is book related because that's what we talk about, but it can really be anything. Maybe a deep dive that you did researching for something you're working on, something you just got really excited about. We would love to hear what your nerdiest thing of the week is.
the nerdiest thing that I was looking up was Napoleon's war tactics, because they play into Ashes of Honor a lot, because Maya's a Napoleon stan. He's an asshole, but he's a genius. So yeah, I think I've been deep diving into that more than I healthily should. I'm also reading a book about the Dust Bowl, and I'm eating it
cool.
up. Ironically, yeah, I don't really read just like regular history books. I do like internet searches, but this book is really good. So,
what book is it about the Dust Bowl? I love stuff like that.
let me pull it up.
Sorry, I put you on the spot there.
No, it's okay. It's on Spotify that I'm listening, but I know that you could get it on Audible. The Worst Hard Time by Timothy Egan, and it's the untold story about those who survived the American Dust Bowl, and it's super, super interesting and super engaging because they follow different families with each chapter.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really cool. I love that. I'm going to look that up. Thank you. Thank you for that recommendation. Well, Nella, thank you so much for coming on and talking with me. It's been so nice to kind of meet you face to face. And we're excited to see you in DC and to do a panel with you at Imaginarium. It's going to be super fun.
I know. I'm so excited.
Thanks. Have a great rest of your night.
You too.
Like what you heard in this episode? Follow Our Nerdiest Thing on Instagram at instagram.com/Our Nerdiest Thing or Facebook at facebook.com/Our Nerdiest Thing. We love hearing from fellow nerds. Email us at ournerdiestthing@gmail.com.